Today, we gather in the quiet presence of a legend whose melodies touched millions of hearts around the world. This isn't simply the story of a gifted songwriter. It is the story of a man whose worship songs became prayers for an entire generation. As the global Christian community mourns the passing of Brian Doerksen, we reflect on the extraordinary legacy he leaves behind, the emotional tributes shared by those who loved him, and the final chapter of a life devoted completely to worship. Stay with us as we remember the man whose music helped countless people find hope, healing, and faith during life's most difficult moments. The Christian music world was shaken by the heartbreaking news that renowned Canadian worship leader and songwriter Brian Doerksen passed away at the age of 60 following a brief battle with stage 4 cancer. For decades, his songs became part of church services, prayer gatherings, and personal moments of worship across every continent. While millions knew his music, those closest to him knew something even more remarkable. A humble servant whose greatest desire was never fame, but helping people encounter God through song. In the weeks leading up to his passing, Brian openly shared parts of his health journey with supporters, choosing honesty, hope, and faith even as his condition became increasingly serious. Rather than focusing on fear, he continued encouraging believers to trust God in every season. His words reflected the same message found throughout his music, that faith remains steadfast even during life's greatest trials. Family members remained by his side as he spent his final days surrounded by love, prayer, and the people who meant the most to him. News of his passing spread quickly throughout churches and Christian communities worldwide. Within hours, social media was filled with heartfelt messages from pastors, worship leaders, musicians, and ordinary believers whose lives had been forever changed by his ministry. It became immediately clear that Brian Doerksen's influence extended far beyond concert stages or recording studios. His songs had become part of countless personal stories, played during weddings, baptisms, funerals, moments of healing, and times when people desperately needed hope. Among the first to express their grief was Brian's wife, Joyce Doerksen, whose loving support had remained constant throughout his ministry and illness. Friends described their relationship as one built upon unwavering faith, partnership, and shared devotion. While the family's statements focused on gratitude rather than despair, they thanked supporters for the overwhelming prayers and encouragement they had received throughout Brian's illness, reminding everyone that his greatest legacy was his love for Christ and for people. Tributes soon arrived from some of the most respected names in contemporary Christian music. Worship leader Darlene Zschech remembered Brian as a faithful friend whose songs carried extraordinary depth and biblical truth. Redman reflected on Brian's remarkable gift for writing worship music that remained timeless, while Jenn spoke of the countless churches whose voices had been shaped by his ministry. Barrett and many other worship leaders echoed similar sentiments, describing him as a humble servant whose influence would continue for generations through the songs he left behind. For many believers, Brian Doerksen's music became the soundtrack of their spiritual lives. Songs like Come Now Is the Time to Worship, Refiner's Fire, Faithful One, Hope of the Nations, and Light the Fire Again crossed denominational boundaries and were translated into numerous languages. Whether sung in small village churches or massive international conferences, his compositions united millions of voices in worship. Few songwriters have achieved such a lasting and universal impact on modern Christian worship. Those who worked closely with Brian often shared stories that revealed his true character. Despite writing some of the world's most recognizable worship songs, he remained approachable, gentle, and deeply committed to mentoring younger musicians. Fellow artists frequently recalled that Brian cared far more about people's hearts than about musical perfection. Recording sessions often turned into moments of prayer, encouragement, and spiritual conversation, reflecting the authenticity that defined every aspect of his ministry. Churches around the world have responded by organizing special worship gatherings celebrating Brian's life and ministry. Congregations that had sung his songs for decades now find themselves singing them with even greater meaning. For many worshipers, every familiar lyric has taken on new significance, serving as both a farewell to the songwriter and a reminder of the enduring hope found within the message he faithfully proclaimed throughout his life. As believers continue mourning, attention has naturally turned toward plans for memorial services honoring Brian's remarkable contribution to Christian worship. At the time of this update, family members have shared that arrangements are being made privately, with many churches planning their own services of remembrance. Rather than focusing on public spectacle, those closest to Brian have emphasized gratitude, worship, and celebrating the faith that defined every chapter of his life. Many expect these memorial gatherings to feature the very songs that made Brian beloved across the world. It is difficult to imagine a more fitting tribute than hearing thousands of voices singing, "Come Now Is the Time to Worship" or "Refiner's Fire." The same songs that have comforted grieving families, strengthened struggling believers, and inspired countless worship services over the past 3 decades. Brian's passing also serves as a reminder that true influence is measured not by awards or record sales but by lives transformed. While his music earned international recognition, those who knew him best consistently pointed to his humility as his defining characteristic. He never viewed himself as a celebrity, but simply as someone called to write songs that would help people worship God more deeply. Even after his passing, Brian Doerksen's ministry continues. Every Sunday, somewhere in the world, believers will gather and sing words he wrote. Children will learn songs that first inspired their parents. New worship leaders will discover compositions that remain as powerful today as when they were first written. His voice may now be silent, but the melodies he gave the church will continue echoing through sanctuaries for generations to come. As the Christian community says goodbye to Brian Doerksen, there is deep sorrow, but there is also profound gratitude. His journey reminds us that a life surrendered to faith can leave an impact far beyond imagination. Though the songwriter has gone home, the songs remain. And through every note, every lyric, and every voice lifted in worship, Brian Doerksen's extraordinary legacy will continue to inspire the world for many years to come.